Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Let's talk about writing today. Moin, I'm Anna of Northern Germany, a survivor, a fighter, a writer. On this channel, this is how I present myself. And I call myself a survivor because I survived a lot of things such as immigration, depression, chronic depression, and suicide intentions. I call myself a fighter because every day I'm fighting for human rights. I write articles about Russia because I want Russia, my home country, to be free. And also I'm a writer, and today I want to share this piece of my life, why and how I became a writer and what it actually means for me to be a writer. And welcome to this channel. Let's start. And you can see that I'm sitting surrounded by books, and probably, I don't know if you're questioning why. Those are actually all my books, and this is funny. I think in Europe I am since 2021. In Germany I am since 2022, from September. And those are my books. 3 years of collecting books. Some of them were given to me. Some of them I purchased myself. Especially recently, I think I purchased more books already in Germany. Well, when I was in France I was a volunteer. There wasn't a big chance that I could go to the city because we were in a very remote village. I couldn't purchase books. And when I was still an asylum seeker, I think when you're an asylum seeker, you are always in this feeling of unsteadiness, of you're having this risk that you can be deported due to Dublin, or maybe your asylum claim doesn't work out, because you can never know. And I think for me the scariest part was that I wouldn't be able to take my books if I'm deported wherever I'm deported. That made me very upset somehow. But yeah, it's not about books, although each of these books of course has a story behind. I have many reasons why I am writing and why I write. But I think it all began with books. I think almost every writer, every author, every creator of any kind of texts, well, almost any maybe, began as a reader. Because I don't really believe that a person can write and good texts without being a reader, because you're born, and due to your surroundings or your interests, or because of any other reasons, you either love books or you don't love books. And from the very beginning I adored books. I really enjoyed being read to. I was always chasing someone from my family. I asked to read something for me. Sometimes they agreed, sometimes they didn't. So when I was in a vulnerable position, when I was ill, I always craved someone to read me. And yeah, I enjoyed books for the youth, some fantasy books like Harry Potter, but I enjoyed Timecodes, and it's kind of a bit of plagiarism, but a Russian version of Harry Potter. And my family didn't really like those because magic is against religion, and my family was kind of religious. So mostly I read by myself. I went to the library, picked up some books, or bought books, but well, my parents bought books for me. And it didn't happen that often because a book was a treat. A book was a treat for my birthday or for the New Year's, because in Russia we don't really celebrate Christmas. I mean, we celebrate Christmas, but it's not a gift receiving day. For us, it's the New Year's. And yeah, it was always magical to open the freshly bought book, especially when you knew that the next time when you will manage to feel the same, it will be probably in months or like several months. And yeah, I think this is how an author is born, at least how I was born as an author. I was a creative child and I was reading, and of course it pushed me to create something in my head. As far as I remember, like since my early childhood, there was always going on in my head some plots. When I went to sleep, I always invented some kind of stories before going to sleep. Sometimes I struggled to sleep because of that. I think to begin with, it was all about creativity. Although I'm not sure I understood what it meant, what creativity was for me. But I was always trying something, and when you're a child, you're not scared. I even wrote poems. Now I don't really write poems, although yesterday I tried. Yesterday it was the 4th of June, Alexei Navalny's birthday, and I wrote a poem. I think it was not bad. Also, I was inspired by Sylvia Plath to write poems, and I don't know if I will continue, but I definitely enjoyed. And yeah, I think I even wrote songs, possibly. I don't remember. I tried fanfiction and then the original fanfiction. I tried everything. I told stories and they were flying in my head like butterflies. There was always hidden something in my head, like some story or some fairy tale or some story that I had heard and I want to tell people. And yeah, this is fun. I had always been an emotional child, and I had always been an observant child, and probably it's also the reason why I'm mentally unstable. But I think I definitely have an ability to write, maybe also thanks to my mental illness and my ability to absorb everything from this world into myself. All feelings, bad or good feelings, emotions, etc., etc. And yeah, I don't want to say that it is my gift because I cannot really assess my writing. Some other people should do that, and yeah, I think I'm an ordinary writer, a beginner writer. Oh, there I am in the closet. Surprise. You probably think that I'm insane. Yeah, I'm kind of insane. But it doesn't matter. I'm still talking about my writing and why I actually write. And the first reason was imagination and creativity. The second reason is escape. That's why I'm sitting in the wardrobe, because I'm very creative and imaginative, and yes, obviously. So escape. It doesn't happen to every child, but to me it happened. I was growing up and I was also growing disillusioned, and you know this moment. I hope you don't know, but many children unfortunately know this moment when they grow up and when they suddenly realize that, yeah, all crowns fall down from heads Your mom is not the most powerful woman in the world. Your father is not the most powerful man in the world, and they struggle with their problems and they cannot solve them. Sometimes you have to solve them. Sometimes you have to be the adult of the family, although you're not seen as the adult. And also, I was studying at school. School wasn't really happy because I was weird and I was different. But yeah, I really was different because I don't know, I somehow had different views, different tastes, different everything, different views on love, different everything that could be different was different in me. And yeah, it was not necessarily good, but yeah, I couldn't fit. I couldn't possibly fit anywhere. I had friends at school, but yeah, now we're not friends anymore. I wonder why. Yeah, also because of my views on the war in Ukraine, but that's not the only reason. Because yeah, we have basically nothing to talk about. And yeah, so I was a sad girl in an unhappy family in a doomed country because yeah, I'm talking about 2012, 2013, 2014, and it was already getting clear where the country is moving to, and I needed to survive somehow. That's why I created my own imaginary world. Basically, I existed in books and in the things that I wrote and in watching some videos on YouTube, mostly musical videos, like Queen musical videos. I watched all of them. Especially I'm Going Slightly Mad. I don't know how many times I watched that. And yeah, that was it. I was reading, I was watching, I was escaping the world, and I was writing. Mostly I was writing originals, a bit of fan fiction, but mostly originals. And that's why I didn't publish anything of my works, because I was sure that nobody would read them. And I think in Europe, in America, that was the time of Wattpad. In Russia we had Figbook. It was super popular. I read things there myself, but I didn't publish. I was scared. I was living in my imaginary world, in my safety. I didn't want to share what I was writing, and well, it was also clear because it wasn't safe. It wasn't peaceful in my soul and outside. And yeah, I couldn't possibly imagine that anyone would ever read that. So yeah, I decided to stay in the wardrobe. And my I'm dressed in red. I have some kind of écandibebe on my head. I don't know what I should call that. I demonstrate some political views on my face. I wonder if I will be able to get rid of this, otherwise, well, it will stay forever. The worst case scenario. And that means that Anna of Northern Germany stepped aside, and now there is Anna of the Fire Nation. If you also feel like the degree of insanity is rising, I love that, because we are free to be insane sometimes. We are free to be whatever we want to be. Remember that. But I'm dressed in red because the next reason why I'm writing is anger. I don't know what impression I'm making on the internet, but one of my mottos is love, love, peace, peace. And it originates from the movie that I once watched together with my friend, the movie about Eurovision. And since then I'm using love, love and peace, peace, because I detest every kind of war, every kind of injustice, and I want it all to be eradicated. But I also understand that it's kind of well, currently impossible to wipe it off, to get rid of it. And especially if you're an activist, if you are weird and different, and it's very hard not to be frustrated, because today you feel like you can bend the system, you can demolish it, and tomorrow it breaks you and you are in your bed and you don't know how to continue living. And I'm so angry. I'm so angry for women and for the queer community and for because of politicians. I'm so angry every day. I'm bursting with anger. I literally have horrible dreams about Vladimir Putin, because you cannot really imagine how much I detest Vladimir Putin. I even have dreams such as once I don't remember what exactly happened. Maybe I wasn't able to vote in the elections because I was blocked on the website for the elections. And my dream was that I was trying to strain Vladimir Putin with Timmy Slish. Oh, Timmy wouldn't like that. Murder is bad. Violence shouldn't be reacted by violence. Violence cannot help against violence. So I say this, I don't have to reiterate this again. But for me not to explode with anger, I have to write. I began to write actively last year in May, when I started to feel slightly better. My depression just released me a bit, and this is when I started my blog on Medium, and you can read some stuff there. And also when I started one of my novels, but originally it was a short story. Now it is becoming a novel. I know, I think I like in what direction it is changing, and my writing, I still have a lot of things to improve, and there is always some room for improvement, but I really feel like it helps me. It really helps me to not to hold my anger inside, because it will destroy you if you keep all your anger inside. At the same time, you're not supposed to attack people. And I think writing is a good solution, or any kind of art, to just, what it is called, to whiplash all your anger. So I highly recommend that. Yay, let's do it again. Some spam decided to call me with my Russian number that I'm still preserving for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, whatever. I crawled outside. I hope I will survive, because it's very sunny. It's getting hot again. And I feel like Edward Cullen, a bit burning. And I do hope that the weather will soon turn back into and I preserved also my band, whatever it is. I don't know who I am. Avatar Roku, possibly. And I can imagine my face in this video with like the sun like this, but whatever. I crawled outside because being outside is good for mental health, and writing sometimes, not always, because of the topics that I personally touch upon. Writing can be very healing, and you sublimate, you exaggerate or diminish your suffering, and nobody must suffer, nobody must struggle in the world, nobody must survive. But the truth is that still many people do. And also, freedom-wise, we're not doing great, actually, according to recent research. So yeah, the world is disturbing. The world is very disturbing, and you need to survive. That's why you sometimes need to do art. any kind of arts that you are capable of doing. For example, drawing for me, I'm a catastrophe. Probably you draw well. It all might work. You make music. I write because I feel the strength to write and to create texts about myself, where sometimes I can laugh at myself, or sometimes I can weep, I can complain. It's also important, even if nobody will read this text, I released my soul a bit. And yeah, sometimes I tend to overwork with my texts, but at the same time, I also think that if I didn't write, I would have found myself in the psychiatric ward also the same issue as with anger, like very, very long ago. So express yourself, don't hold it, share, and possibly you will even find some people who are having the same issue, and you can exchange, you can help, or they can help you, or just talk. Sometimes it's also important. Now what? What is this supposed to be? I'm on glitter. I am a fairy. I think the only fairy that I can be, the fairy of broken technologies. Yes, I'm still traumatized about the thing that happened to me last week and watch video about that. But my background and these two say that I am either a witch, or I live in Halloween land, or I am in a cult. Guess what is true? It's up to you to guess. Yeah, but I wanted to finish on a more positive note because anger, escape, and mental health preservation, it's all very nice, of course, but yeah, I began with creativity and I want to finish with magic of the process of writing, of creating. And for me, writing is magical because writing empowers you and you can create worlds. You can imagine stuff that doesn't exist in the world, like witches or justice, happiness. No, yeah, they all exist. Just sometimes you need to fight for them, unfortunately. And witches probably also exist. Who knows? And yeah, I always like this power of creation, that when you are free to build up a story and a character, you are free to try what you wouldn't dare to try in the real life. You are free to plot your stories as you want. The worst case scenario, nobody will read them, but yeah, it still won't stop you from publishing them, self-publishing them, I don't know, to giving them to anyone who would be interested in reading them, because as it is said in Master and Margarita, writings don't burn. It's not the exact quote, possibly. I have Master and Margarita in Russian. I also have a copy in English, but I didn't have a look into it yet. And yeah, you can imagine anything about the world or about yourself. You can be a fairy, a witch, a magical creature, an animal, if you really want to. You can imagine perfect love. You can imagine, anything, because mind has no borders. And also, for example, the white sheet of paper, it's terrifying, but it also means that it has no borders, that you're free to go wild and write whatever you want. Also add drawings, change it, delete everything, rewrite it, recreate it, look at it from one angle, then from another. And it's so magical. Writing is so magical. I am so happy that I began to write, because I remember I was a teacher before I left Russia, and I was sure that I would never change my profession because it was stable-ish, and I always enjoyed writing, and I have always thought that it doesn't really make sense. There are so many writers, and everything is already said, and I have nothing new to bring into the world. But it's not true, because every human's experience is different, and you are worthy, and I'm sure that there will be people who will write, there will be people who will read me, or probably who will read you if you're also a beginning writer and you're afraid that nobody will read you. Well, at least friends. I think my friends enjoy reading me. I am also very happy about that. And yeah, so those were my reasons to write, and writing is my reason to stay alive, to live. And yeah, thank you for watching. Be creative. Think about yourself in the childhood. Maybe there was something that you adored doing, and maybe you want to try it now. Maybe if you're lost in life and you don't know what to do. And I wish you love, and peace from my northern Germany that is now hot, but I hope it will become soon, as I had already mentioned. Yeah, true.